They intrigue us.
Like a beautiful monster.
And frankly, they scare us. Great white sharks are on the move in Canadian waters in what appears to be greater numbers.
Shut off that engine.
So are eco-tourists keen to spot them.
They're coming so close right now.
But don't forget, this is not Hollywood.
That's a 20-footer.
25.
This is Halifax. And for all we think the movies have taught us about white sharks, there are people here learning we really don't know much about them at all. For instance, why? Why are so many white sharks coming here to the coast of Nova Scotia?
I'm more nervous than excited.
This is Neil Hammerschlag. He's a marine ecologist with a PhD and a theory.
The oceans are warming at a rate like 99% faster than the rest of the global oceans. And that warming water brings with it, more sharks, because most sharks are cold-blooded, and essentially they rely on warm water to heat up their body and to help with their metabolism and regulating their body. So if it's too cold, they can't get here.
Conservation efforts in the United States might also be helping, but Hammerschlag says the fact is no one really knows for sure.
The great white shark is probably the most mysterious, misunderstood, and charismatic animal on the planet.
Hammerschlag owns and operates what he calls Canada's only shark dive cage. Last year, 750 people came to catch a glimpse of the endangered species.
Last year, through our photos, we identified 36 different great white sharks.
36, that's considered a lot. So more sharks and more eco-tourists too. It was a little overwhelming for Hammerschlag's little boat.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
So maybe this part is a little bit like Hollywood?
This year we've got a bigger boat.
This is Hammerschlag's bigger boat. Faster, too, to get 3 nautical miles offshore more quickly to search for white sharks. He's upgrading the dive cage as well in anticipation of even more gawkers this year. So those white sharks, the stars of the show, had better be ready for their close-up this year. But Hammerschlag says this is about more than gawking. He calls his tourists citizen scientists, helping him document the white shark population and fund his research.
Since they're going to be in the water, in the cage, will help us try to get an estimate of the number of sharks that are there, relative size, the sex of the sharks, which are going to teach them how to determine that. But also just their photographs are going to be pretty key. We're going to use people's photographs to try to piece together a database on the different individuals. That's because each shark has unique body markings, which we can actually take that information and link it to individuals. People don't protect things they don't love. And we're hoping that it will instill this appreciation for great white sharks because, these are animals and that do need protection.
So white sharks are here and in some pretty big numbers, but how excited or concerned should we humans be about the apex predator of the ocean hanging off our coast?
Fortunately for us, humans are not on the natural menu for great white sharks. If that were the case, we could never ever go swimming or surfing. There'd be nothing easier than for these sharks to pick us off like you would see in the movies. But that are the movies. That's not what reality is. Reality is sharks want to avoid people.
Yeah, but the critics say humans aren't on the natural menu for bears either. Ask a surfer.
As they say, don't feed the bears. If you don't want to have problems with them, you don't feed them.
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
We're not out there just pumping what you might see in the movies in Jaws, like blood and guts into the water. We're using a relatively small amount of intact bait that we put in the water. We can't create a shark spot. We have to go to where the sharks already are. And we're putting, natural smells into the environment, which they're already looking for. And these sharks are moving up and down the coastline, and we're simply trying to get their attention momentarily without feeding them, to try to study them, to try to create this appreciation for them.
There are some people who think maybe it's time to start warning people there are white sharks here, like signs on beaches.
Let me say again. I've seen, I have advocated for the need to have signs informing people that there are sharks here, and also, help making sure that we are prepared in the event of potential rare shark bite. I don't think it's scaring people. I think it's just being shark smart.
And I have one more question about the white shark. Could these sharks actually help cull the overpopulation of the more than 350,000 gray seals here, whose voracious appetites also include the fish that we eat?
There's a huge upside to this ecologically. The thing is, sharks control seal populations. When the waters historically were too cold for sharks, that was a food source that wasn't accessible. And now it's almost like, the buffet's been opened.
So there's that. And yet there are still so many unanswered questions, waiting for the mysterious white shark to give up its secrets.